Hey everyone. Alright, I wanted to have a quick talk about the upcoming DLC for 2018 for Elder Scrolls Online and some of the hopes I have for it. Now, that's all this is. It's a pure wishful thinking video. I have no indication that any of these features are coming. It's just some of my hopes and dreams. Now, we do know that Elder Scrolls Online is adding 3 dungeon DLCs, which 2 dungeons per pack, so we're going to get 6 new dungeons throughout 2018, and they're adding a new chapter. Now, Chapter could be considered what we got with Orsinium and the Thieves Guild and the Dark Brotherhood, but inside the game, Chapter is actually what Morrowind is referred to. So I am hoping that it's another full-fledged expansion. Now, I have no idea of setting, like, I know people are hoping for Somerset Isles and things like that. I really don't care too much. I would personally love something to do with the Snow Elves, but I don't think that's going to come in because I think the whole premise of what was done in Skyrim was they haven't been seen ever since they were destroyed. So, what I want to do now is just talk about 5 features that I hope come in. Now, as I said, these are just wishful thinking. I don't actually think any of them will come. Hopefully, I get lucky and maybe one of them gets through. And I'm going to mostly power through them because I don't want the video to go for too long. Now, first up is an incredibly easy thing. I would like a broadening of some of the features in our inventory, specifically relating to simple things like hiding the helmet, hiding your tabard. You shouldn't have to go all the way into the gameplay options menu to do this. I know there might be mods out there that do this for you, but this is just a core thing that should be in the game. There is no reason why it shouldn't be. So, fingers crossed that gets in. My second one is I would love to see new crafting get added. They've done a lot with crafting over the years, and it's pretty good. It's actually a very solid crafting system, and the crafting gear is quite good. But there is, for me, one very large hole in the crafting system, specifically because I've been playing a lot of low-level alts, and that is jewelry. We currently have no way to craft jewelry with crafted sets. I would really like to see them add that. It could be considered a bit of a light profession, but I think it's better it being in and being a light profession than being left out completely like it currently is. That's one I would really massively love to see brought in. When you're designing sets for characters, especially like when you don't have dropped gear and you can't rely on dropped gear, a crafted set is something nice to rely on, and being able to use them in the jewelry slots would be awesome. So fingers crossed. There was also the spellcrafting profession, which they originally announced prior to the game releasing. Basically, a sort of unique way of getting new spells and customizing them and etc. I kind of like the idea behind it. Obviously, the execution didn't work out perfectly, which is why it didn't get into the game. Maybe there were balance issues, but I would really be interested in seeing that come back. And you could even tie that into dual crafting, in my opinion. And the last one is I would like to see them expand woodworking. I don't necessarily think that they will do this, but I think there's some potential there, and it will be my last one on the video, my last major point. Now, my number 3 is I would like to see new sets brought in. Obviously, this is a very simple one, and this will come in, but I specifically want to see a crafted set for healers. The crafted sets actually range quite well and they cover most specs, and while you can be a healer and there are sets that will work for you, there is none that are dedicated for it. There is no 5-piece bonus that specifically helps healers over everyone else. All the best a healer can hope for from a crafted set is to get a damage set, which most likely will just either reduce or negate the cost of a power. I think that's a bit lame. Like, come on, guys, you've got some really good healing sets out there. Why not add similar one just to the crafting one? It doesn't have to be overkill, just something simple. It's a small ask. I'd like to see that brought in. Number 4 is I would love to see a new class brought in. Now, I'll be the first to admit that I have a love-hate relationship with the Warden. I enjoy playing it, but I also admit that I do feel that the Warden was a bit of a missed opportunity. It's not quite nature class, it's not quite cold class. You just kind of did both in a very limited fashion, and it didn't really work out for me in the best way. There's a lot of things they could bring in, but the one area where I kind of think they're a bit light at the moment is maybe bringing in another stealther. So you've got the Nightblade exclusively at the moment as a stealth class. Everyone can stealth in the game, but the Nightblade is really the only one that fits that mold of assassin's stealthy character sort of thing. I know it's only a template and you play how you want to play, but it'd be interesting to see another sort of ranger or some kind of class like that brought in, which also use stealth as a mechanic. You could also add things like I would love to see the gladiator brought into of some kind. I think that could be interesting, especially given the how many arenas they have in game. Be interesting. Probably won't do it. It's probably too generic when considered next to weapon powers. So that was just one I had an idea for, especially when you look at things like throwing nets around and things like that. It could be kind of cool, but I wouldn't expect it. You've also got a bit of a you have a sorcerer which uses lightning powers, but there's a bit of a dip on frost and fire and even earth. Be kind of cool if they came in as a pure mage, but once again that kind of dips into the destruction staff areas, and then we still have the holy slash dark powers which could be used. And while I do think there is room for more of that, like I really like the Templar, and I think there's a whole other subset that you could add to another class in that same field, I don't think they would because it may look too similar. Now, my fifth, and the one that I want the most, and I am fairly certain we would not get, is I want new weapons. Now, I understand the drama with bringing in new weapons. Every time you add a new weapon, you in theory need to add 5 new skills. Not always, because some can fit into the existing mold, but generally you might need 5 new skills to go associated with. Then that becomes a balance problem as well. But for me personally, I see that hole in the woodworking category and think there is a lot of weapons we could add. Now, first and foremost, the one I want the most is spears. Now you've got 2 different variants of that. You could have a 2-handed spear, or you could have a spear and a shield. I really like the idea of the spear and the shield, but either way works, and I think that could fit in quite well. Now, you might need some unique animations, but both of them may work with the existing sword and shield or sword and board skill tree, and maybe the other one works with the 2-handed skill tree. Don't know. I'd prefer them get their own. That's just me, and once again, maybe I'm asking too much. You could also add pole arms, so you could have things like pikes and things like that, which, while very spear-like, function very differently. And maybe a melee staff as well. So we've got 4 staves in the game right now, none of which are useful to melee. And traditionally, staves do get used in melee, so why not? It could be something we add, especially if you add a new monk sort of class. That could be really interesting. And last but not least, crossbow. I think crossbow could work in really well. While you do have the bow at the moment, I think there is room for 5 more ranged powers relating to the crossbow. I think you would give it a shorter range, you'd give it a sort of slightly slower attack speed, I don't know. But I do think it's possible. And once again, all of these expand the woodworking field, which I really think is quite needed, and I would love to see that. So there we go, guys. That's my list of 5 things that I would like to see added. I don't particularly, as I said, I don't think they will, but it's just a wishful thinking video. These are what I would enjoy. If they get in, great. If they don't, well, I'm still going to play the game. I'm still going to enjoy the game. But the one thing that I would say to Zos is I hope you keep growing the game. Do not get stale just because you're worried about balance issues and things like that. That's always going to be a problem. Right now, you have balance issues. At the start of your next patch, you are going to have massive issues with what's happened with tanking. But you cannot be afraid to add to your game for those reasons, because you'll create a stale environment. Adding new dungeons, new endgame content is great, but adding new things in that existing players can enjoy from the beginning as well creates longevity. So I really hope that we see new classes, I really hope we see new weapons brought in, and I really hope that we see Zos stretch that imagination and really encompass the beautiful things in this world, because we know they can do it. This is, for me, an amazing game, and I want to see it keep going. So, fingers crossed, and I'll see you all in the upcoming expansion. Enjoy! Ciao.